Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. Today I'm going to be making what is, I think, a definitive explanation of the meta and of our format moving into the Treasure Cup. Now, I know that that is inherently going to be a statement that a lot of people are going to find contentious, and I'm also aware that inevitably I'm going to get a lot of comments saying, oh, you don't know how to play X matchup, you don't know how to play Y matchup, you don't know how to play blah, 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 you're wrong, this does this, this does this. And listen, I'm open to that. Please, by all means, leave your constructive feedback, your constructive criticisms in the comment section below. I am interested to see what people think. However, before you rush to the comment section, I would want to let you guys know I've done a lot of testing of this game. I've researched a lot of tops for what has been winning in Japan during the Set 1 format and what has been doing well across the world. If your only barometer on what the format is your locals, I would ask that you refrain from going, well, my Doflamingo deck won my 45-man local, so it must be the best, because that might be true for your locals, but things are going to be different when you reach that 500-plus man event scale. So, in my opinion, there are only 6 decks that actually matter in this format. And I'm going to put those out now, and then I'm going to touch on why I haven't included a bunch of others, and then we'll go through these. So, in my mind, the only decks that are relevant are these 6. I think these are the only ones that matter. So let's go ahead and talk about the big ones, why I left out Blurple. I think Blurple Croc is a really cool deck in theory. It's one I really enjoy playing. It's one I have fully built. However, it cannot deal with green. It just can't deal with green at all. And this isn't like a Doffy can't deal with green, where like sometimes if the kid player isn't very good, or if the Doffy player like sees like exactly what it needs to, like, oh no, it can. No, it literally cannot deal with green. Like, you're not building these wars like Doffy is. You're not able to bounce and interact with stuff like Doffy can. You're not able to like generate value like Doffy can. And you fundamentally start with 1 card less. You will just get rushed down, battered, bruised, and then they're going to slap down an 8-cost kid, and you're going to lose. Blurple Kaido is scary. But once you've play tested against it a couple of times, you realize, well, this is actually just as weak to rush as it always has been. Yeah, okay, cool. It gets some better early blockers to play, but it also loses a life to compensate for that. So fundamentally, all the issues that Kaido has are kind of still there in Blurple Kaido. Now, it's a lot more consistent. Don't get me wrong. It is a lot more consistent thanks to those top checkers. But you are giving up a lot for that. And you're giving up a lot of kill potential as well. One of the scariest things Kaido can do is just burn one of your life away, and that's not something Bubble Kaido can do, so I don't think it's relevant for this overall meta discussion. Green Odin, I think, is self-explanatory, and Blue Croc is okay, but I think, it fundamentally kind of has the same matchups, really, that Doffy does. It just is less good into all of them. It's not bad by any means, but again, I just feel like a lot of what I would say if we were going to talk about that, I'd be repeating myself. And then I think that's it for the King is memed here. Yeah, I think that and Red Green Luffy, I've someone has seen some success. Look, an aggro deck is always going to randomly see success. Fundamentally, if it just, if your opponent doesn't have blocker, it's something that I'm sure will see success on local level or even 100-man events. I would not take it to a 500+ man event at all. You need to be going like X1 to top cut. I do not think you're going to go X1 with your Uga Buga aggro deck. So that being said, you're probably sitting here thinking, saying, okay, but why have you got Red Zoro there? Let's talk about it. So, the meta is very, very interesting, I think, because essentially what we have are these kind of nested groups of triangle metas, which I think is really, really interesting, because to me, what we have here is we have one triangle meta here, we have one triangle meta here, and they're kind of layered on top of each other, because they all also interact with each other in very, very interesting ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this first one here. We'll start with the starter deck trio. And interestingly, actually, I think these are the best decks in the game. If I was told what are the top 3, it would be these, and it would be in this order. Actually, maybe this order. I don't know. It is a really, really tough call. So let's start off by going with the easiest one. We'll start off with Useless Captain Mid, who is actually very useful in this game. I don't think I actually really need to explain why this deck is so good. This is the best leader effect in the game in a vacuum, and I think even outside of a vacuum, it's pretty damn good. Definitely top 2 or top 3 if it isn't runaway number 1. It has access to one of the most broken cards in the game in 8-cost Kid, which single-handedly invalidates blue in this entire format. In my opinion, if 8-cost Kid had actually been errated as the card reads, I think blue would have been a runaway best deck in the format. The very existence of this deck forces people to main deck options they might not necessarily want to be playing, and fundamentally it is a very versatile leader because it can very easily play an aggro game, it can very easily play a mid-range game, and it can very easily play a control late game game. So I think that versatility there is really, really good. However, it's not perfect. It does not really have many dominating matchups. Outside of blue, it doesn't really dominate any matchups. It just kind of goes 55, 45, 60, 40. And, as much as people will say Kid is an Ooga Booga deck, I think there's a lot of skill required to pilot Kid effectively. I don't think this is a controversial take. If you speak to a lot of the Japanese top players, I think they would agree. There's a lot that goes into actually successfully piloting a Kid deck, because I think out of all the decks, this requires the most variation in how you approach particular matchups. So that's it. I think I have the most to say about Kid because I do think it's the most interesting. Let's talk about Kaido. So I think Kaido is Kid is Kaido's worst matchup, and that is because fundamentally. There are tools in the Kid deck that Kaido is not able to very, very easily answer, namely the 5s and the 7s. Obviously, if you play down an 8-cost Kid, you're really baiting the 10-drop Kaido. So the goal of the Kid player is to get that Kaido down to 1 life as fast as humanly possible, whilst simultaneously building up a fat board of blockers, or of 7-cost Kids, or of Hawkins, or of X-Drakes, Yamatos, any big things, 8-cost Kids, any big things you can play. You want to be getting those down the board, and you want to be getting your opponent down to 1 life. And the reason you want to do that is at that point they are forced to 12-drop Kaido in order to even stand the most remote chance of not instantly dying. And at that point they've lost the game because you just go 12-12. And unless they have a hand of exclusively 2Ks, which to be fair is possible, they will lose that turn. And even if they don't, as long as you can essentially guard whatever their big fat leader swing is, even if you're at 1 life, you should be fine. So it is still scary, don't get me wrong, it is still scary, and certainly I don't think it's like a 90-10. I think it's a 60-40. The Kaido player, if Kaido player sees its curve, the Kid player is going to lose a lot of the time. That Onigashima into Queen is so powerful. It kind of doesn't matter what the Kaido player sees after that. But fundamentally, that is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, Babanuki, very powerful card. And then once you see that top end, King dealing with the Okikus, 9-cost Kaido being able to deal with any important 5-drops, 10-cost Kaido being able to board wipe. Fundamentally, if Kaido sees its top end curve and is able to survive long enough, it is absolutely terrifying. So that's why I think it's certainly good. And the last part of this trifecta, as I said, is Red Luffy here. And I think Red Luffy is really, really interesting because it is one of those ones where the game at the moment is quite mid to late gaming. I think that's a pretty uncontroversial statement. Most games go well into turn, probably 5 to 10. I think is you will like that. So there will be somewhere between 10 and 20 turns overall in a game. That is the general position. I think that's usually what it is. And in that kind of length of game, this is absolutely the red deck to take. This leader effect in combination with a single Nami is so scary because you are able to just hit for numbers consistently that are almost leave you in disbelief. And that in combination with the fact that red has multiple ways to just ignore the meta of small blockers. Because do you know what these two decks pretty much exclusively play? Small blockers. Yes, this deck has Queen and Black Maria. Yes, this deck has 7-cost Kid. However, that's not really going to save you when turn after turn after turn, you're either ignoring the small blockers, thanks to Shanks, or you're just ignoring blockers entirely, thanks to Diablo Jambe or 5-cost Luffy. So this is intensely scary. However, the problem is this deck is just not able to rush down Kaido. You can try. You absolutely can try. But by nature of your deck being built around playing more into that mid to late game, you are not able to deal huge amounts of damage to Kaido. And when Kaido just starts slamming down their big dudes, which you are not able to interact with, and Kaido is sitting there on 2 to 3 life by the time it hits 10 mana, you're kind of screwed, because they are going to be smacking your face in with huge numbers. You do not have the guard to deal with those kind of Kaido attacks. So that's why I think this is a 60% to 40% Kaido win. And then, obviously, here we have the 60% to 40% Luffy into Kid win, because fundamentally, ignoring blockers is really, really powerful. Kid really does need to get set up, and ultimately, Kid's biggest tool in its arsenal in it's 8 cost Kid is efficiently dealt with by an Otama jet pistol, or a Brook jet pistol, or a Law jet pistol by Red Luffy, and that is absolutely terrifying. That combined with the fact that your opponent might invest a huge turn into lots of blockers backed by an 8 cost Kid, and you might either just nuke the 8 cost Kid or ignore the blockers, means that 8 cost Kid's Kid's entire game plan can kind of just crumble in the face of Red Luffy. So we have this triangle format here, right, where on average a Luffy is more likely to beat a Kid is more likely to beat a Kaido, and a Kaido is more likely to beat a Luffy. However, that's not necessarily always going to be the case. As I said, I think this is very player skill dependent. There's also very opening hand dependent. If you see what you need to see into the matchup, you are just going to win. It doesn't matter how good the opponent is. There is that element of if you see those good cards, you see those good cards. And I think this is a very, very balanced element of the format. And if that was it, I could call the video here. But as you'll notice, I said that there is actually a second triangle here. And that's over here. So I'm going to go a little bit faster on this one, where essentially we have this here, right? So let's start with Law. I think we all know how high the ceiling on Law can go. Ultimately, if Law is able to establish its board, if it's able to just not get instantly murdered by everything, and it's able to get set up, and once it gets those 5 cost green Laws going, it's pretty much unstoppable. It's absolutely clapping anything. Fundamentally, it also has access to 8 cost Kid, which means that Blue is it's impossible for Blue to win the matchup if this deck plays an 8 cost Kid. And even if it doesn't play an 8 cost Kid, you play so many blockers, which, by the way, this doesn't really have a great out to, and you're able to be intensely aggressive. You're able to control the board very efficiently and very, very well. Often you don't leave many great bounce targets for the opponent, because if they bounce pretty much any of them, you're like, okay, cool, I guess I get another, I get the blocker back next turn, or I get another top search or whatever. The Doffy play may actually be making life quite easy for you. So yeah, this is very much a Law victory into here. And I think this may be one of the most one-sided ones. It's up there by nature of 8 cost Kid existing. But of course, Doffy into Zoro. The problem with Zoro in this matchup here is Doffy is able to build a board very quickly, and Zoro really can't afford to be wasting time trying to clear that board. So all the Doffy player needs to do is look for blockers, establish those blockers. They take they go down to 3 damage maybe, but then after that point they're blocking everything, they're clearing board, and at 3 life it's not possible for a Zoro player to ever kill you, even if they see the nuts, even if they see 5 cost Luffy Diablo Jambe, 5 cost Luffy Diablo Jambe 2 turns in a row, which is very unlikely to happen. You're going to be able to block one of those attacks. Fundamentally, they're going to lose their entire board. That's going to be it for them. They're not going to see a 5th one of those unblockable cards, and you're generating so much advantage that it's not possible for them to win that. So I think this is, again, a pretty 60-40, even 70-30 in Doflamingo's into Zoro. And then here we have this issue of Zoro into Law, where Jet Pistol absolutely destroys pretty much anything this deck is going to play outside of 8 cost Kid, and then of course Jet Pistol and 8 cost Kid in this deck, and it ignores all the blockers that Law is establishing. So that and the fact that Law is a 4-life leader means that it's exceptionally vulnerable to rush. That also, ideally the Law player is going to be trying not to rest their things, so they're able to build their board, which means that they're just going to be taking these fat attacks from the Zoro player. Who's going to be going 6, 6, 7, 7, 6, 7, 7, 5, 5. It's horrible. So you for the Law player. So you have this Zoro beating Law. So now we have this secondary triangle format. And now here's where things get complicated when we layer these on top of each other, right? Because what do we have? What do we have here? Well, if we talk about Zoro, right? Zoro is very much able to beat Kaido. Very much able to beat Kaido. The matchup with Luffy is pretty 50-50, and it gets absolutely stomped by Kid. So we've got another one of these things where this is pretty 50-50, this beats this, and this beats this. So we've got another one of these things here. Okay, now what happens if we insert Doflamingo here? Well, Kid absolutely destroys Doflamingo. Doflamingo can actually, can have a really, really good matchup into Kaido, because it's able to build that really efficient board, deal lots of damage, establish lots of blockers. The Kaido player isn't able to capitalize a huge amount. If they 10 cost Kaido, they don't really care, because you build your board back basically for free. And then Red Luffy into Doffy is actually quite an interesting matchup, quite 50-50, depends on the level of control, depends on, this is a really, really good game to watch. So again, we have this whole thing. And then we have Law, which is absolutely just 50-50 into all of these. This is going to come down to knowing how to play the matchup. This is going to come down to opening hands. This is going to come down to all these sorts of factors. And this is exceptionally 50-50 in all of these directions. So what we have then is this exceptionally strange circumstance where you've got basically Law kind of Bing chilling in the middle, and then you've got this triangle format of all these things here, and then you've also got these guys who Doffy cannot beat these, but can absolutely beat these, and Zorro can potentially beat basically anything, but also can lose to everything by nature of its own variance. So overall, that is my summary of the Set 1 metagame. I think that pretty much covers it. So, your final question may be, alright mate, so what the hell do I play? I don't have an answer for you. And this is, I think, what is most agonizing about trying to pick a deck for the Treasure Cup format. There isn't really a right choice. I would say Doffy is the worst of these choices because if you see a single green player, you're just not going to win and you need to be going X1. But maybe there are no green kid players, because maybe every single green kid player is like, right, well, you know, this matchup's pretty tough, this matchup's pretty tough, I don't really want to run the risk of randomly losing to Kaido players, Zorro, maybe I win more often than not, but, you know, it's so RNG, they could just blow me out, and then I'm going to have to play the mirror all day, so maybe I don't want to play kid. So maybe if there's no kid players, suddenly this is running around as, you know, potentially top dog, one of the best options to take. And we can do this exact same analysis for every single one of these decks, right? The only thing I would say is if we arrange these on a scale of variance, that might you might think, okay, well that's going to help me, but it's actually not, because even when you arrange these on a scale of variance, where I would say your variance scale will be something like this, in order most consistent to least consistent, you'll notice that the decks that are less consistent can beat everything, but the decks that are more consistent have matchups that are noticeably bad, and in addition, you're more likely to be playing the mirror match. In which case, it doesn't matter if you have got good matchups, because if you're playing the mirror match, even once or twice, that's essentially a 50-50. And that's going to come down to basically who wins the die roll and who opens better. So, I don't think there is a right pick. I don't think there is one. I think ultimately, you're going to have to make a call on what you think the meta is, and two, what I think is far more important, what you are most comfortable with. What are you going to play best? What do you have the most matchup knowledge with? That's going to be your best bet. If you have been heavily grinding Zorro this entire time, even though I wouldn't play Zorro, even though it is a variance machine, and even though it has lots of bad matchups, ultimately, there will, oh my god, I think there will definitely be at least one Zorro in every single top cut. And the reason I think that is because enough people play Zorro, there's going to be one person who beats that variance machine and who just ends up there, who's going to be like, nope, I've seen all my stuff I need every single game, I've seen the aggro, and I've won every single round. Entirely possible. Same with Kaido. There's going to be at least one person who beats that variance machine. Same with Law. Law has strong potential to brick, but if it doesn't brick, it's got crazy high ceilings, and it can beat everything else in the game. So if this Law player has a good day, he's going to be doing bits. Again, Luffy, possibility to brick, lots of great matchups, as long as it doesn't run into its bad matchups too often, can absolutely be in the top cut. Doffy, maybe this Doffy player dodges green all day. Fantastic. Maybe this green player manages to dodge all the bad red matchups, all the bad Law matchups. Maybe they don't play the mirror too much. Who's to say? Overall, that is my conclusion from this analysis. This meta is incredibly diverse. It is skill-based, it is luck-based, and it just comes down to what you are most comfortable with. If you found this video helpful, please do give the video a like, and please do subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content. Let me know what you think about this analysis in the comment section down below. I really am curious to see what you thought. Are there secret techs, things that affect matchups that maybe I'm not aware about? Please do tell me, because I am genuinely very, very curious. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next One Piece video. Cheers.